Thank Matanzas choirs for these songs, for the international delegates, Big Guantanamera, Vice of Faith of Fernandez is a worldwide piece. We invite now to officially open General Attorney's office. Good morning to all. There are young artists from Matanzas. They represent the art and culture of this province, and they're really very outstanding. And I ask a round of applause to these Matanceros who are very young. Dear delegates and guests, on behalf of the organizing committee of the 13th International Meeting Penal Sciences and the first Legality Law and Society, we welcome you. We are pleased to see general attorneys, deputy attorneys, teachers, judges, lawyers, counselors, students of law, friends and colleagues from countries of Africa, Europe, Asia, and America. We are especially grateful to the general attorneys who, despite the internal situations of their countries, despite the fact that their country demanded their attention, they decided to come and share with us this working session, which we are grateful for because it shows commitment and friendship, and that too is extended to those who could not come because of different circumstances, especially the one from Bolivia, the president of the Ibero-American Association of Public Ministries, Ramiro Guerrero. Likewise, the long-standing friends who give prestige with their presence and academic and ethical contributions to this international meeting, like Eduardo Lopez Betancourt, Homero Acosta Alvarez, Secretary of the Council of State, and other authorities of the academic sectors who, with their presence, contribute to obtain better results, and especially Dr. Juan Escalona Reguero, who was General Attorney of the Republic of Cuba for many years. Paradigm of these meetings, to which he contributed so much, and he continues to do so. For the first time in the history of these meetings, we have present a representation of the State Alliance of General Attorneys of Justice from the western states of the United States. These are other times, but we are going through the same road. We receive you in a homeland and will continue to be sovereign, socialist, free, solidarist, and faithful to its principles, history, and to its people. With this meeting, we continue a scientific forum that has over 2 decades. And we participate on the birth of another meeting that will allow us to enlarge the analysis and discussion of the complex problems that our societies are facing and the implementation of law. We shall face, among other subjects, violence in the family, children's rights, boys and girls, the right of women, people with different sex orientations and color of the skin, paternal filial relations, the right of complaint and of taking care of all citizens, the aging of the population, disabled people, the serious and dangerous problems of the environment that endanger the human species, among others, and the role of the public ministry and its protection, which is based on the constitutional tutelage of this and the solutions of our institutions that should not limit only to the practice of the public law, but just to represent our states. The Cuban Constitution in Article 42 says that discrimination because of race, color of the skin, sex, national origin, religious belief, or any other one aggressive to the human right is banned and is punished by law. On its part, Article 127 of the main charter says that the General Attorney's Office is the state organ that corresponds the control and preservation of legality on the basis of surveillance with strict fulfillment of the Constitution, the laws, and other legal provisions by the state institutions, economic and social entities, and by the citizens, and at the same time, the promotion and exercise of the public penal law representing the state. From this perspective, the General Attorney's Office of the Republic of Cuba is involved in an improvement process. The structure, the composition which is necessary to meet the demands and missions assigned to the General Attorney's Office as an organ of the state to strengthen the order, discipline, and institutionality. This process is inserted and accompanies in a different ways the updating of the Cuban economic model with its transformations in different environments of our society that constantly demand the legislation and the passing of legal standards that will ensure the legal framework adequate to meet the targets set forth. In virtue of the above mention, we have redimensioned and strengthened the confrontation to management corruption, illegalities, to crimes, attention to citizens, and the protection of their rights, for which, aside from a personalized attention at the venues of all the countries, we have a phone line 24 hours a day, and recently we have incorporated in the web portal of the Attorney's Office a website through which the citizens may establish their complaints in the face of any violation of their rights and denounce whatever they deem pertinent. Any legal problem in every sure guaranteeing the privacy of their statement. We have been able to reach to this point because we have a revolution which has built up a society that we should defend, and that it might be more prosperous, fair, and inclusive of what has been up today, with a deep vocation of justice and implementation of the law in which men and women are the main richness. For this, and for many more reasons, it is necessary to raise forth the problems of penal science, not to solve them once and for all, but to continue evaluating where we are today in the discussion of said problems, which are the arguments that base the different theses or postures, and which is the attitude that could be more efficient now and right now for what we need. Important matters like the ones we have to discuss, we should not aim to more, but not aim at to least. The existence of crime is a reality, irreversible, and perhaps, since the human being populated the earth, what has happened through centuries is how to face it, how to do it from prevention, how to succeed by ensuring the security of our people without affecting the contrary, assuring the rights and freedoms of our citizens. And historically speaking, it has been proven that penal law is one of ultima ratio, what has not been in general an aspiration. Our realities have shown that it has been perhaps with greater options of first radio law. It is easier to incarcerate our weaknesses than to solve them in due time. The Cuban reality contraposes to that. As has been affirmed by different theoreticians of law, in the selection of the state means of power, the penal law should be a true ultima ratio, to find oneself in the last place and acquire updating whenever indispensable for the preservation of social peace. For the actors of penal law to have among its tasks the materialization of the jus ponendi of the state is a high responsibility that should be undertaken with the condition that we're all the same before the law, with a deep ethic vocation, adjusting it to each reality in a rational way, severe whenever necessary, following the international law adopted and with real guarantees. We have no right to criminalize poverty, to criminalize the exploitation of man, but we are to seek for other alternatives that will contribute to the solution of problems. In some cases, it worries the present expansion of penal law and the unjustified punishment to conducts. Nothing authorizes to punish our citizens, nor to allow it passively. The necessary equilibrium between safety, tranquility, and individual rights is something accomplished in our country and a permanent desire in many societies. nothing authorizes anyone to use penal law to take away the goods and rights from all those who have the less and allow the richest to have more and more, with an accomplice impunity of penal systems that are permeated by corruption. We have no time, not enough laws, to continue allowing the gaps between what the law says and the realities of our people. It is true that we must continue to struggle, improving the confrontation to delinquency and the white-collar criminals, by the way, many of which, in some countries, do not know the rigor of a criminal investigation or of our prisons. However, they are full of prisoners waiting for trials or for condemnations for several years. How to explain our people that we must have imprisoned children, adolescents, and youth instead of having them in schools, building the future of each of our countries? How to explain that some in charge of watching for what they belong to them are the same one who do not fulfill their obligation, because using their position they take away their right and the penal system continues the same. Cuba is not alien to the issue of crimes and its results. It is not a perfect society, but we can assure you that there is a social system in conditions to prevent it and face it efficiently, where culture and education are the main pillars and are taught to men and women. The thought of shame, dignity, and the core and principles is taught to the people, and its leaders, authority, sacrifice, and respect to the people. This strength are the ones which have allowed us to preserve and develop the work of the revolution, despite pressures and external problems, where it is protagonic one of the most flagrant violations of international law, condemned unanimously by the community of countries for tens of years, as is the economic, trade, and financial blockade of the USA. Social phenomena that penal science face require greater preparation, organization, exchanges, cooperation, agile, effective, and unity of the public empires and other entities in charge of prevention and confrontation, and new, more rational ways, coherent, expedite, and severe, to be able to show what corresponds to their responsibilities at the national and international level. Confronting crime is not the patrimony of any particular state, but rather an obligation of all. What forces us to improve integration mechanisms in the field of legal international collaboration to reach more effectiveness in the struggle of transnational crimes such as terrorism in any of its modalities, the traffic and trafficking of people, the drug trafficking, weapons and organs traffic, the cyber delinquency, and environmental crimes, among others, that affect humanity with no exclusion. Not least important are those challenges related to processes like the new forms of solution of conflicts in penal headquarters, justice of minors, the expansions of public ministries to pursue crimes committed in private legal entities, the penal responsibility of the legal person, the judges in absence, access of justice, and this should be rapid with guarantee. This will bring about a better defense of our states and societies. A new formulation of the role of the victim in the process, the costs of the penal process, and a recognition of the comrades from different ministries. that manage hotels like this one where you are, and that helped us in our work. They have made everything possible to make our work possible. We will show you the best Cubans have in a cordial way, and to show you the natural conditions of our courts. Thank you.
Thanks to the Attorney General for his remarks. We had just a small problem with the audio. We will proceed and continue with this program of 2016. The organizing committee of this Criminal Sciences 2015 has acknowledged is pleased to acknowledge this contribution of the Cuba's General Attorney's Office in Cuba and to honor Dr. Juan Escalona Reguera, a jurist of extraordinary revolutionary and political trajectory that undertook important responsibilities after the triumph of the revolution. Dr. Honoris Causa in Legal Sciences of the University of Havana and Oriente, appointed as Minister of Justice in 1983, President of the National Assembly of People's Power between 1990 and 1993. Also General Attorney since 1993 until March 2010, who is also acknowledged for his contribution as the founder of international events of the General Attorney's Office in Cuba. He is given this medal, this recognition by the General Attorneys of Cuba. This event wants to acknowledge Dr. Eduardo Lopez Betancourt, a scholar of criminal law of the National University of Mexico, who is also Dr. Honoris Causa of the Ibero-American Legal Council. He has been lawyer in the Ag Department and Vice Minister of Government in the Federal District of Mexico, and also he's acknowledged as a supporter of the people of Cuba and the different events organized in Cuba on legal matters.